Hey there, how are you doing? I want to talk again about America's pretty dysfunctional relationship with money and how we have just kind of this punch down culture and this exclusionary culture and this snobby culture. And a lot of it is based on racism. But anyway, I feel like all of that is what kind of set the stage for the current housing market that we're in and why a lot of housing is just becoming unaffordable for so many people. Now, I live in Kansas City, Missouri. In Kansas City, Missouri, there's kind of a part of town called Midtown. When I was a little bit younger, there were a lot of people who I kind of socialized with, and so I kind of am familiar with some of these apartments. And the apartments, they're in older buildings, um, and they're kind of cool little apartments. But some of the neighborhoods are a little bit sketch, and the Kansas City, Missouri school system has a lot of problems. So it's probably not that desirable for people with families and stuff like that, or even maybe like single women. So yeah, there's that. But fast forward, and now some of these same apartments and some of those same kinds of areas are on the internet, and they want like $1,500 a month or something just for this one old apartment in this old building. And they're probably, wanting to call it like historic, but I'm like, okay, well, what historic ever happened there, or who historic has ever been there? So I find that to be a little bit of a scam, like the way they try and act like some of these buildings are historic, but really they're just old. And the renovations will just be something like, to me, just looking on the internet, it looks like they just put a stainless steel refrigerator in there. Thanks, Nene Leaks. Not that it's Nene's fault, but I just think it's funny. I feel like she kind of played a part in the gentrification of America. But anyway, there's a stainless steel refrigerator, and then there will be like a granite countertop. And I really question if that granite countertop is even real granite, or if it's just kind of like that granite looking finish. And the apartments look nice, and the walls painted, but it probably didn't look that bad before. I mean, it's like the exact same building in the exact same kind of sketch neighborhood. But now people are paying like twice the money, which I think is really stupid, that you're going to go pay twice the money to live in a place where the people before, didn't pay that much. But what these people are paying for is their neighbors will be hipsters like they are. They chased out the quote undesirables just by raising the price as high as they did, and not accepting things like Section 8 and things like that. So that's really all they're getting. That's all they're paying for, is that they have a building full of hipsters, um, as opposed to people who may have been, a little bit street or whatever, whatever. And it's the same thing with these like suburban um, communities, subdivisions. That's the word I was looking for. Some of these houses, they'll be like you drive past, and there will be a sign, and it says starts in the 250,000s, and it could be a subdivision that popped up like out of nowhere. And it'll be like, gosh, where'd this place even come from? I don't remember this being here. So these homes were built very quickly. And so, to me, the quality will be questionable. And I remember I was watching TV once, and there was a natural disaster in Texas. And so I saw one of these newer homes, like basically torn apart, and it was like, oh my gosh, this house is like paper mache. They probably, that house that was on TV that got torn by a tornado, it was a very big house, and these people looked like they were probably kind of bougie or whatever. And I was just like, oh my gosh, these people paid $500,000 at least, probably more, for a bunch of paper mache, some concrete with some wires run through it, and Like that's it. And like, city plumbing, like that's it. And they spent like $500,000. And it's just like good gravy. Like think about what $500,000 is, even if you make a very good living. Like that's a lot of money for some paper mache that got tore up in, some wind and some rain. Anyway, hopefully insurance took care of them so they could get their paper mache fixed. But the point is that that house, it's not worth what they paid for it. It simply is not worth, and that's an objective statement, I believe, because the materials are not expensive and they use a lot of illegal immigrant labor. So I really, really wonder what's going to happen next in the American housing market, because if they really think that they're going to chase all the illegal immigrants out, who's going to build all these McMansions and strip malls and such? Like, who's going to do it? And if they actually hire Americans, then they're going to have to pay them more. So, I mean, I really don't know how this is going to work. They probably need to quit tripping on these illegal immigrants, quite frankly. But anyway, same thing with the McMansion. That house is not really worth the money that they're paying for it, but they're paying for it to be exclusive. They are making darn sure that people that they deem to be beneath them have absolutely no chance of living in that subdivision with the McMansions. And someone may be watching this and say, oh, well, I want to live in a safe community. Everyone does. Well, I won't say everyone, most people do. But people who are pulling drive-bys and stuff probably have like no chance at all, ever, of getting in a house like that. The people who they're really excluding are people such as, I don't know, people who do like clerical work, maybe manual type labor, who maybe if they're thrifty, maybe if they live with an extended family member or something like that, they could maybe pull it off and move it. That's who they're trying to exclude. It's not even about, some crackhead walking down the street, because that person's just totally out of trying to get into one of those communities. So again, it's just this like kind of punch down, snobby kind of a mentality and culture that American has, that has kind of set the stage for housing to just be unaffordable and out of reach for a lot of working people. And yeah, I think that's just about all that I had to say. I kind of lost my train of thought. But yeah, we're all suffering now just because of just our attitude towards, money, and just, wanting to be snobby and wanting to kind of look down on someone else. So it is what it is. And now, in current day, there's a lot of property developers and such that are just running scams, a lot of builders that are running scams and doing shoddy work, and there are numerous stories about that on the news. But I do believe that just Americans paying, twice as much in rent on an apartment in the hood than the person who lived there before, just kind of let a lot of these property developers know that, hey, yeah, people will pay more for housing. So like Americans kind of demonstrated, yeah, I will pay ridiculous amounts of money for housing, just to, be away from a certain group of people and, be a little princess or whatever. And now like everything's kind of moved up. And again, I want to say I do not have a problem with anyone having a big nice house. I am not against living in a McMansion. I'm not even against living in, I don't really have a problem with gentrification like that. It's just that they raise the rates so much. I mean, they've just kind of like pushed the rates like to the brink, and it is not a good thing. And now like affordable housing is very difficult to find for a lot of people. So yeah, America has again shot itself in the foot. And this is supposed to be a Christian country, so of course, that is never quite accurately displayed, in my opinion. But I do think that Americans probably need to kind of look at the Bible, look what the Bible says about love your neighbor, love other people, about generosity, being a cheerful giver, and just kind of recalibrate, just so we can have a society that is a little bit more livable for more people. Because, people that have quite a bit of money, there's no issue for them. A lot of people that, maybe are on the more affluent side, it's not an issue for them. The problem is, I feel in like the more working class sector, and, people that are very poor. Because, for instance, if you look on YouTube about what's going on with like trailer parks and such, trailer parks are getting closed down. People are being run out because someone buys the property and raises the lot rent. And as far as trailer parks, I don't think that they're that cheap, honestly. I looked into buying one once. Now, here's the thing, I live in Missouri. And so I decided, no, I'm not going to go and buy a trailer because I'm not really trying to lay in a ditch when there's a tornado. I want to be someplace where I have a basement. So I was like, okay, I would prefer an apartment if I was going to go someplace. But instead, I just live with my mom. So that's my situation. But yeah, I don't think that it's really all that cheap to live in a trailer, even like years ago. So I don't know why people made fun of them so much. I mean, I do understand why, but I don't think they deserve to get made fun of like that. And living in the hood is not cheap either. A lot of inner city apartments are not really cheap. So I don't know. And that was even like long ago that, you kind of look at what is being offered and the various amenities, and it's like, this isn't exactly cheap. But anyway, America should just, do better. And they like to talk about Jesus all the time, really be about it, and, hold people accountable. And, you know, personally, I just think it's weird that just people just don't look at some of this stuff objectively. Just look at some of these houses and say, this house was built in like 4 days. I am not spending $250,000 on a house that was built in like 4 days. I'm not doing it. Like, even if I had it in my pocket, like, I'm not doing it. But anyway, let me go. So have a wonderful day. And I don't know. Let's just all think about it, pray about it, and try and have a better relationship with money. I think that it would benefit everyone individually in relationships, and beyond that, it would just benefit society as a whole. And we can use prayer and the Bible as our guide. Thanks. Bye.